And at the national level, I mean, I'm talking about all across U.S. with the business models taking over all the healthcare across the country. If you look at the young career, mid career, young physicians and the mid career physicians, there is a certain degree of people say that there's a certain degree of disconnect from the corporate models. Disconnect in the sense that people think that decisions can be made at higher levels without taking the young or mid-career physicians on board, and the growing frustrations among the academic physicians across the country as to how can they do it all. So my first question is, as a senior physician yourself in the leadership role, what can the physicians do to bridge the gap between the boots on the ground and the decision makers? And where do you think is the future of healthcare going with this?
Well, I think it's going to take an effort from both sides to make this work. I think if you have a pure business model, that model is sort of a few people are going to make the decisions, and they're going to tell everybody else what to do, and then you carry them out. And if you carry them out well, you get rewarded. Traditionally, the academic model was, you really wanted to reward innovation and autonomy and say, let's see what you can discover. Those are very, very different models, and how to bring them together is a challenge. I think one way is just better communication. When I see the problems that we deal with here, it's overwhelmingly because of a lack of communication. Someone thought they had told the other person that this is what was going to happen, but they really hadn't. Or, what I thought I communicated to you is not what you heard. And so having the faculty members, whether it's at the chair level or the junior faculty, be involved in the decision process, I think that's really important. It may not come out the way they want it to, but they need to be able to weigh in and say, well, here are some things that I think are important. And it's surprising how often you get really, really good ideas that the smaller group just didn't think of. We have the vice chairs meeting, and I'm always impressed that just opening it up for discussion, what happens is you have ideas that come to the surface that you say, why didn't I think of that? This was really a good idea. And I think it makes the final product better, but it also makes it much easier to enact these things. If someone's just given an edict, this is the way you're going to do it, the first reaction of most people is to bristle. Who are you to tell me that's what I'm going to do? On the other hand, if you say, look, here's the problem, let's talk about this, what do you think? Even if at the end of the day you get to that same decision, now you don't have the resistance to do it because people feel like they've had a part in building it. So I think, again, that's an important piece for how academics is going to fit into this business model. One final observation is we do have a chain of communication that's supposed to go all the way from the CEO to the intern. And so there are a lot of links there. And we have to be able to rely on each link being strong, that decision gets communicated as far down as it has to go, or as far up as it has to go. And often what we find is that there's a weak link. So yes, the decision, the plan was shared with the chair, but the chair never shared it with anybody else. Or the concerns of the faculty made it to the vice chair, who decided it just wasn't important and wasn't going to pass along. So making sure that chain of communication is intact, I think, is really important too. The other thing I think that's really important is we're going to have um, physician leaders who understand the business world. If you're uh, again, if it's just an antagonism between business and medicine, then it's not going to work. And since it's the business that brings in the dollars that allows us to get paid, I know who wins that one. And so I think having physician leaders who do get degrees in things like, Masters of Health Administration or MBAs, is important because we need people to be able to speak both languages, if you will. So that's one area, and it's an area where I've encouraged people in both residents and faculty to get that kind of training. And then the other piece to this, again, I think it comes down to personality. I've noticed there may be a substantial difference between personality of a physician and the personality of a business person. As a physician, you're trained, you want to be caring, you want to try to understand, you want to sacrifice yourself because it's going to help somebody else. That's really not the business model. The business model is I'm going out to win. And so doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just a different culture, and we have to figure out how to bring them together better. And I think there will be physician leaders who can do that.